I had a thing from this morning and I didn't cover it, and it bothered me. So I just want to post it real quick, and then I'll show you what I mean. I have a thing. Is this it? Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I have. Okay. Quit it. Just sign into the goddamn thing. Oh, because it opens that thing. Never mind. I don't want to open that article. I want to copy the link. And then I want to go into the thing of this thing. And then I want to post it in here. And there was a thing I was going to talk about this morning, and it drove me a bit nuts that we didn't get a chance to get to it, because I was, I got into long conversations with the major and with Phil. And I just want to point to this thing. It kind of is loosely linked to it. And anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let's see. Are you going to cover the anti-Kasparian Glenn Beck thing? It's like an hour. If there was a clip of it that I could find that I would cover part of it, I don't feel like dedicating like a fucking 4-hour breakdown to that bullshit. All you need to know is that she was always full of shit. And you can tell by her attachment to Glenn Beck, who is always full of shit. Okay, but I don't mind covering a piece of it. Thank you, Pentaxenstein. But so this article came out in the New York Times this morning, and I saw it and I was like, you can imagine how it made me grumble. Biden administration looks to reinforce U.S.-China ties ahead of Trump's return. Senior Treasury officials are holding a final round of talks with a new round of economic volatility on the horizon. This is the fucking top of this, and I was like, Jesus. And I've told you guys many times, always watch for paragraph 3 or paragraph 5 or 7, depending on whether or not the paper is in color or not. I'm not doing Glenn, don't worry. But I titled this in my notes this morning. I'll show you this right now. I will like make a note on some articles that I want to talk about. And this was the title that I put over top of it. U.S. media still has no idea how to cover China. Like, that was my impulse title for what this section would be where that article is. Because I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, so exactly, Tobias. The yeah, but is really crucial in this situation. And think about what the narrative that is created. Biden administration looks to reinforce U.S.-China ties ahead of Trump's return. This looks like, A, they're subverting Trump, that they are shoring up our financial relationships, trying to maybe undercut tariffs and, and trade issues, right? If you just look at that title and come away with any other fucking conclusion, you can't. So let's look down. This is them meeting. The Biden administration is making a final push to reinforce the communication channels it established between the United States and China before the relationship between the world's largest economies potentially face fresh upheaval when Trump takes office. Now, to the world's largest economies. China is not the world's largest economy. It's not even the second. It's probably the fifth. It's about the size in real numbers of Japan's. Japan's is about $5 to $6 trillion. This is bullshit. China does not have an $18 trillion economy. It has a lot of stuff that's bought and sold out of the country, but it doesn't stay in the country. And again, I use this analysis or this analogy, beg your pardon, all the time, but I think it's crucial if you're going to try and understand the American economy versus the Chinese economy. American economy, we have one piece of bread, that's 340 million people, and one pat of butter. Maybe a pat and a half, depending on how you look at it. And we have enough to spread that butter around the front of the slice of bread. It'll be a little like missing around the edges. You won't necessarily be able to butter both sides of it. That's always an issue. But as far as bread and butter goes, pretty close to even. The comparison with the Chinese economy would be one pat of butter that's slightly smaller than ours, and 6 loaves of bread. Think about that. Think about that for a second. That's the spread. Does that sound like the second largest economy in the world? No. Norway is much closer to being the second economy in the world because per capita, more people get a benefit from their fucking country, from their economy. The economy is not as big as everything else, but it's more evenly distributed over the entire country. Whole wheat or white? White. Please. Okay, so a team of senior Treasury Department officials will travel to Nanjing, China, which, by the way, is the site of one of the most horrific war crimes of World War II and perpetrated by the Japanese. And if you haven't heard about Nanjing or the rape of Nanjing or any of the stories around it, I pity you, because once you go look it up, if you think shit is bad over here, you probably have, unless you've actually, I don't know, read the account of Auschwitz camp guards, you're not going to find anything close to how awful that was. Just saying. Okay, so, like, horrifying. Okay, so this week, and that's true. Okay, a separate group of Treasury officials will convene with their Chinese counterparts on the sides of the G20, which they always do. They always do. It is not news that they're convening. What comes out of it is news. The fact that they do it is what they always do. China may not be number 2 in the G20, but or in the G7 for that matter, but they're certainly, you know, part of the G20. So of course they'll have a working group meeting. They do it with everybody. It's all right. This drives me fucking bananas. All right. So working groups were formed in 2023 as a way to prevent tension between the U.S. and China from devolving into economic warfare. The officials are expected to discuss a familiar range of issues that have been on the table since the new structure of dialogue was created last year. The United States is expected to raise its continued concerns about China's excess production of green energy technology, which is flooding global markets, shitty solar panels that undercut everybody else is making solar panels. Right? So this is just, we're going to keep on our tariffs unless you do something about it. End of conversation. Treasury officials are expected to raise issues with China's recent restrictions on exports of critical minerals and the support Chinese firms have been providing to Russia in its war with Ukraine. Does that sound like they're opening up, like they're easing the tension before Trump comes in? For real. Are they ratcheting shit back? United States and China are the 2 largest economies on the globe. And the American people expect that we should be able to communicate directly with Chinese officials on both areas where we agree, and especially in areas where we don't. Jay Shambaugh, the Treasury Department's Undersecretary for International Affairs, who's a bit there. Okay. Treasury officials say the increased engagement has given the United States a better understanding of China's economy, or lack thereof, and how its policymakers view sensitive issues such as foreign exchange policy and international debt relief. They also point to regular technical exercises that the 2 sides have been conducting to help maintain financial stability in the event of a crisis as a channel that will be valuable in the future. This is just, will the sanctions hurt if they attack Taiwan? Despite the warmer tone between the 2 countries, most of the Biden administration's warnings about China flooding global markets with cheap solar panels and electric vehicles have gone unheeded. There's also been no indication Chinese firms have stopped helping Russia access technology that it uses to restock its military. And the U.S. and China have continued to ratchet up protectionist measures. Where the fuck does the title of this article come in? Right? Good Lord. It's just, okay. Biden administration opted this year to maintain the tariffs that the Trump administration imposed on billions of dollars worth of Chinese imports and announced new tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, solar cells, semiconductors, and advanced batteries. Honestly, what is this? What the fuck is this? Because I don't want to, you know why this annoys me, besides the fact that it's horseshit. Why? Because I see this shit on fucking Fox News all the time, where you have like Sean Hannity popping this title up and going, China, Biden's over there selling us out to the Chinese, right? And they have Comer come on and talk about his bullshit. And that's the title they throw up on the fucking screen. And it's directly contradicting the content of the article. Ugh. So anyways, I needed to get that off my chest because that was on like my slate of stuff to cover this morning, and I never got a chance to cover it because my guests had great conversations and the like. I'm going to keep hitting this as it continues because the New York Times have been particularly bad about this shit for a while, and I know I went way over. I know. Just part of the whole thing. What do you expect? For God's sake. Look, stuff matters. And I know I could let some of this stuff slide, but I'm not going to. This is it, because these are the acorns that become the mighty oak. And then I have to deal with it when it's on these fucking stupid shows later. This is my new rant visual. I hope you enjoy it. I have to see this shit show up on my feed later, or used as evidence to support these dipshit arguments on Newsmax, because they write these dumbass titles that have nothing to do with the content of the article. All right, rant over. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. And I managed to avoid triggering the kidney, and we...
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Ah, okay. Well, at least we clarified that. Also, and I know I should let you guys go because parting is such sweet sorrow. But I wanted to show you probably the funniest story today. And I don't know if you know this, but I need to bring it up. Kimberly Guilfoyle has been picked to be the ambassador to Greece. And I'm shocked that people don't know that this comes from an inside joke of Don Jr.'s, that she should have been made Secretary of Butt Stuff. And if you don't know how Greek is related to that, go look it up. I'm not kidding. So until next time, just understand, this is the quality of the experience that these assholes are going to have, no pun intended. And I think we have less to worry about than you might think. This will be a fraught world full of lots of danger and strange and exciting and difficult moments, but we'll get through it together, and we'll be there for the people who need the help the most. But the Secretary of Butt Stuff is reporting for duty. God damn it.